place where it's all right to be yourself, where the light shines a little bit brighter, and there's always plenty wisdom in the well. That's where I want to live. Yeah. Oh, that's where I want to live. Yeah. Now the path is gonna seem a little clearer. Not so many stumbling stones in the way. Who you're seeing when you're looking in the mirror, you're gonna like a little better every day. That's where I wanna live. That's where I wanna spend my time. Oh, that's where I wanna live. Yeah. Well, now all you really need to get there is some faith and a strong desire. Even when you're down at the bottom, you just reach deep inside and let all that light pull you out of the muck and the mire. No baggage, and I'm going down to the riverside. I'm gonna throw it all into the water and then jump on that peace train and ride. That's where I wanna live. That's where I wanna live, everybody. That's where I wanna live. That's where I wanna spend my time. That's where I wanna live. That's where I wanna live, everybody. That's where I wanna live.
I grew up with a pretty good dad. I have to admit, he was a great dad. But I also have to admit that one of the best fathers that I know is my husband, Paul Ramey. And I think there are a couple of sayings that Paul has that I absolutely adore. And oftentimes Scarlett, my daughter, or I will come and have him fix something, a computer, a car, a business, something. And then we get so grateful afterwards. And his response is, "I'd fix a broken heart if you just bring it to me." And even though he says it somewhat in jest, there's truth to it. Most of the time, he doesn't know what needs to be fixed, as Don was saying, because I don't tell him. But I'll tell you, if you let him know, he's on it. The other thing is that I love about Paul as a father is oftentimes people have asked him, "Well, so what's your secret to being a good dad?" And he goes, "I am a stern disciplinarian. I am the world's sternest father. I see to it that this child gets nothing unless she can think to ask for it." And it's pretty much true. And then, based on those two things, it makes me wonder, how often do we go to that father energy, that energy of all goodness that is created, that is responsible for the creation of the universe, that intelligence, that love? How many times do we bring our broken heart to that? Just a thought. So today, we are going to be looking at some of that. What are we bringing to the universe? And it's called The Life of Pi. The Life of Pi. Thank you. So, next slide. We live in a comfort zone of normal. How many of you know you have a little comfort zone that where things are like normal for you, right? I mean, you got your normal relationships, and you got your normal paycheck, and you've got your normal day-to-day work that you do, normal schedule. You just have this normal that is comfortable and safe. And then, every so often, something stirs within you, and there's a dissatisfaction about the job, or the depth of the relationship, or the amount of money coming in, or something. There's a dissatisfaction that goes on there. And as my friend Kelly LaRue says, she says, these dissatisfactions are not bad. These complaints are not bad. She says they just inform you about what you really want. They inform you that you want to step outside of this circle of normal. You want to expand into the allness, the bigness, the goodness of God. There's a desire there, but the edge of that circle is sort of the edge of our comfort zone, meaning that that circle defines where our fears are, where our ideas of impossibility are. Everything inside the circle we're okay with. Outside the circle is newness, impossibilities. Stuff that causes us to be fearful, even though we might want it. I want really badly to write a book. That's outside of my circle of normal. It's outside of my comfort zone. But there's a call within me to write that book. So whenever you are feeling sort of that discontent, Max, what is it you just said earlier about that first quote you gave us? But it was something about the thing that frustrates us is those dreams that are unlived, those bask in the false coziness of non-implemented insights. Doesn't that sound like sitting in your comfort zone? Sitting in your comfort zone and wanting something outside and yet not going to get it, but being comfortable. Stop it, okay? Anaïs Nin says it beautifully. She says, and the day came when the risk to remain tight in the bud was more painful than the risk that it took to blossom. Being in the comfort zone is safe, but every so often you're going to be called to express more. Next slide. Okay, Jesus told us a really cool thing one time. He said that the apostles, you remember those 12 guys that followed him around for 3 years, right? And so he's telling them, yeah, you can be more than you are. You can be more than you are. I want you to be as great as me. I want you to raise the dead. I want you to heal the sick. I want you to take away suffering. Okay, guys? And they're like, yeah, we got it, right? So then he gets crucified, and what do? They run back to their fishing boats and quickly hide and throw their lines in the water. Anybody here done that? You think you want something great, but then you run back to the comfort of what you had before because it's too scary out there. Anyone besides me? Okay. So, but that's not what is being called for. Jesus had to go up to those guys in the boat and say, oh my God, how many times have I told you were not meant to be fishermen? You were meant to be fishers of men. And so he called them back out into the infinite goodness that they were supposed to move into. So we have, from the inside, we have this urge to expand, and all around us is this infinite goodness that is inviting us to expand. So do you see the energy? We want to get out there, and there's this sort of father energy that's saying, come on, just bring it on, bring it to me, and I'll support you. How many of you have found that sometimes as you've stepped out, you've found this incredible net of support for whatever you stepped out into. It's good, isn't it? There is something there to support you. But the infinite goodness, the infinite of God is always calling you to expand. And here's the other thing I love. That goodness out there, you don't have to compete for. It's earmarked for you. It's earmarked for you. God operates. That universe of infinite goodness is always there, even though we can't see it. This is where it gets a little complicated, but you guys are brilliant, so you're going to get it so easy. That blue spot is you and your comfort zone. Got it? The blue spot up there is you. It's the spot we were just talking about how you want to expand from. Now, I want you to make believe that blue circle is morphing itself into a slice of pie and fitting itself into a new circle of global existence. Do you see how this new circle is made up of a lot of different people, each having their own slice of pie? And there's a new idea of normal, of what our world can have or what our nation can have. Do you see that? Because each person has got their own contribution now, right? Now, next slide. So everybody is close together. I am close beside somebody else who, let's say, is making more money than me, and I'm close by someone else who's making less money. And the main thing that we start to think when we're in this pie is we think, oh my gosh, if I want more, I've got to take it away from someone else who has less. Or if somebody else wants more, well, damn them, they're going to take it away from me and everybody else. Anybody ever thought that before? Okay, it's okay, you're healed. Okay? But it's normal. It's normal to decide this is the limit of our national pie. This is the limit of the amount of money that's available for all of us to divide up. And if you have more, I and everyone else will have less. Or if I have more, somebody else is going to suffer. This is race consciousness. However, next slide. However, instead of feeling the dissatisfaction, the envy, the resentment, the limitation, the bondage that comes from thinking we're all in just one little pie, what about if it's putting that same energy to saying, wait, what do I want? And can I expand out and get it? Now, let me give you a couple of examples. Number one is from the Bible, because I love the Bible stories. So Jesus is going off to Jerusalem, and he comes to this pool where it said that the angel of the Lord would move along the water. And the first person, when the waters rippled with the angel of the Lord having moved upon it, the first person into the pool would be instantly healed. Not the second or the third, just the first. Well, this belief was so strong at that time that the first person often was healed. So Jesus came along, and he found this guy way in the back, paralyzed, hanging around that pool for 37 years. And he says, what? Don't you want to be healed? And the guy goes, you know, I can't get to the pool. Somebody always gets there before me. Do you see the limitation? Only one person could be healed. So if one person got healed, the rest had to suffer. If you were the one that got healed, then glory for you, but everybody else suffered. So Jesus says, wait a minute. You're saying you've got this complaint that somebody else always gets the good, and it's not you. What's the good you want? And so he went ahead and gave it to him. What Jesus did was encourage him to, instead of looking at the sides and saying one person gets the good and one person and the others don't, he said, tell me what you want and let's go for it. This is the message of metaphysics. Tell the Spirit what you want. Tell yourself what you want. Be honest about it and go for it. You don't have to take from anyone else. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, what I also want to say is that expansion is contagious. We started with that inner circle, and all of a sudden, different people are going for their good, not trying to take it from someone else, but moving out to go for their good, moving out, and all of a sudden, everybody is prospering. Let me tell you another story about my husband. He's, besides being a good dad, he's also a brilliant businessman. And we started a business, a lot of years ago, and like 1 or 2 years into that business, we discovered, we were pretty much just making it, but we discovered that our biggest single contract with this association, we got all their members to buy from us, that biggest single contract was being canceled. That meant no money for us. We would be able to probably pay the rent and a couple of our staff members, but there was no money left for us if they canceled. Well, it was very easy for me to go to that place of, come on, we can get it back. There's only so many customers to go around, and we got to get those people back if I'm to get paid. If I'm to pay for my car and my house and all that, we got to get those customers back. Or we got to do something to screw up this deal because there's only so much business. Do you guys see that? I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's very tempting when you're scared. And Paul went there for about 2 seconds with me, and then he said, wait a minute. This is not the kind of person I want to be. This is not the kind of life we want to lead in our business, to believe that our good is limited, to believe that there's only so much and either they have it or we have it. That's not what I want. That's not the way I want to live. So he decided that we were going to all open up to any new ideas from the universe. And as a representative of the universe, one young woman came forward and said, how about we go to a trade show and do this, this, and this? Paul said yes, and it ended up increasing our business times 10. So because he decided not to believe in the pie, and he decided to expand outward, he contributed to others expanding outward. One last example, because really, that expansion is contagious. Expansion is contagious. And if you've ever been around somebody who's expanding in their life, don't you feel like you want to do something too? This is yes. Okay. It is. It's contagious to see people expanding. So my last story is about Apple Computer. Now, let's take the Apple company over here, that giant purple piece. They got a big share of the market. They got a lot of money. They don't need any more, do they? No, they don't. They already have so much, they ought to be giving it away to people less fortunate, right? But instead, there was something within Steve Jobs that said, we're gonna develop this thing called an iPhone. They didn't need to. They already were very successful. But there was this stirring within him to do something greater. And instead of thinking, I have to take market share away from Microsoft or whatever, he decided to expand into a whole new product category. How many of you have benefited from the iPhone being invented? Me too. But guess what? If you go across the world to the deserts of Africa, the Maasai warriors over there used to suffer greatly. They are cattle, they raise cattle, and they spend all their time trying to get the cattle fed in areas of drought and trying to get them watered and finally trying to get them over to market to sell. Oftentimes, they take these hundreds of mile journeys, and these poor cows sometimes have no water and no food, and then they get to the market and find out that they're not even being offered very much. Do you know that with the invention of the iPhone, with Bill Gates, Steve Jobs moving out and claiming something new, answering that call of his soul to claim something new, do you realize that the Maasai warrior are able now to call each other and find out where there's places for watering, find out where there's places for food, find out which markets are accepting cattle and negotiating for it right then? Praise God. Praise God that one person can expand, and because of that, everybody else can expand too. That is the way it works. It is contagious. The other thing that I want to let you know is that the universe cannot be visible except through you. The story I was telling you about the two women, they didn't see a visibility of financial good out there. All they saw was lack and more lack, right? But yet they were called by the universe to be the expression of abundance in the world. So the universe is calling us to express something so it can be visible in the world. So finally, I want you to see a new idea of normal for yourself. I want you to see a new idea of normal as your piece in the world, and that is your responsibility to constantly be stepping out. Because as you step out, the world expands. Got that? Got that? Okay. So if you've got that, let's go into a prayer that is also a summary. I am so grateful. I am so grateful for the idea of life. This life of pie. This life of pie that enables me to look at things like my resentments or my judgments about how much someone else has, or my envy or my dissatisfaction that I don't have enough. I am grateful for that, for what that does within me is stir something that says, Sharon, what do you want instead? And so I invite each person here to go within and ask themselves, where do I feel dissatisfied? Where do I feel in judgment? Where do I feel resentful? Where do I feel dissatisfied or in bondage or limitation? And listen to the call of your heart saying, what do you want instead? What do you want instead? Is it more money? A greater relationship? Greater health? Is it more fulfillment? Is it more time, more freedom? It is the universe calling to you, saying, come forth and grab that. What do you want instead? The universe is saying, like Paul Ramey, I'll fix a broken heart if you just bring it to me. So take that desire of your heart and bring it Bring it forth to the infinite goodness of life. Call forth that good. Say, let it be. And then decide on one tiny step that you can take toward that good. What is that one tiny step you can take toward that good? It doesn't have to be writing an entire book. It could be sitting down and writing one paragraph. What is your next step? Step over that line. Step over that line between impossibility and possibility. Step out of your comfort zone into the goodness of life. And now see yourself there. Oh, what would it be like to have what you said you wanted? See yourself there right now. Feel it, breathe it. This is the life of Pi, the ever expansion of our comfort zones, both individual and collective, the ever expansion into a greater expression, a greater visibility of God. This is the life of Pi. This is your destiny. And so it is.